Hi, everybody. You're welcome to our today's session of Fifth Marathon International of Google Workspace for Education, organized by a good number of Mexican GEGs. We are really happy to see you here with us. And today we will have a pre-recorded session because the time of our invitees. the the purpose of this session is to listen six experienced coaches that works in different roles in education, so you can learn from them how can you improve your work in any role you are with the coach certification, and not only get the credentials, instead to gain the competence and obtain a good curriculum and model for make a great job as a coach. So now we are going to see the pre-recorded video, and we will be here. Javier, if you come with me to a scene, say hello, people, and we will be here to attend your comments and your questions, and we will send to our inviters your your questions and your doubts because she will be blessed to answer your questions and tell you how they feel being coaches. Now, we don't need many presentations because when you saw the video, you could see each one of them presenting his her person and her job, their person and their jobs. So, para nuestros invitados en español, registrada en este momento y en fechas posteriores vamos a agregar los subtítulos para que ustedes también puedan disfrutar de las experiencias de nuestras coaches. Ellas forman parte de la segunda corte de Global GEG de coaches certificados y han puesto un gran esfuerzo en compartir sus experiencias con ustedes. So, you are welcome to our session, and we will be pleased to enjoy this session. We will share with you when the video finish a form to share your feedback and share with us what do you think about this session. I think that we must encourage more people, more teachers to certify as Google certified coaches. And now I can tell you that I know some of coaches in Latin America, and we can count with my fingers and with my toes. There's no more. But I think that we can be more coaches each day. So, what do you think about it, Javier?
Thanks, Gerardo. Welcome, people. Sean bienvenidos todos. Muchas gracias, Gerardo. And this session is very interesting. I think it's inspiring some of about coach because we need more people using these tips. Estamos muy contentos de tener esta sesión de coach porque queremos que a lo mejor esto nos puede inspirar también a otros para poder también animarnos el día de mañana, para poder ser también coach. Entonces, disfrutando esta sesión y agradeciendo también a nuestras invitadas que compartan de sus experiencias con nosotros. Gracias, Gerardo.
Muchas gracias, Javier. Así que vamos a dar paso a nuestras invitadas. Bueno, vamos a disfrutar justo de nuestra grabación.
Okay. All right. So welcome to today's Google for Education Coaches discussion panel. We have 6 Google for Education certified coaches right now on our panel. And we're getting together to just kind of talk about the Google Coach certification process. What's the best route to becoming a coach? Why should I even, get certified as a coach? And kind of what's the most challenging scenario that we faced so far. So I'm going to let each one of us introduce ourselves.
Sure, I'll start off. Hello, everyone watching at home. My name is Jessie. I am an ISTE certified educator, and I am also an administrator. And on top of that, I'm a special education teacher too. And I work for a private school in South Florida. And my role at our school is to help guide teacher training and also to develop individualized educational programming for all of our school, all of our students, not just the students with documented needs. Welcome.
Great, welcome. Who's next?
I'll go. I'm Melissa Shields. I have none of the credentials that she just I am an ed tech coach. I'm one of 3 ed tech coaches in the Palmdale School District in Southern California. And I'm also Google certified trainer like the ladies on this panel. And what else? Like my brain is, we have 28 schools in our district. And yeah, my brain has just absolutely gone blank. So I was just so impressed by Jesse. I can't even.
Stop it. I've been practicing all morning in front of the mirror.
So I'm Kim Brown, and I am a high school library media specialist at North Reading High School in Massachusetts, located north of Boston. And I am a Google certified coach and trainer as well. And basically, I went through the process of getting my certifications just sort of to add validity to my role. The people on this panel have already heard me speak about this before, but the idea that the role of library media specialist is really misunderstood. So I feel like, having those certifications kind of gives a little more validity to the role that I have.
I'll jump in. My name is Cami Cannikins, and I am from Alberta, Canada. That's just above Montana, if you need a reference point. And so I work in quite a rural district. There's a mid-sized city, and then I work in the rural district all around that. And so my role right now is instructional coach, and I actually cover 20 different schools. So I do lots of driving. Some of our schools are tiny, like K-9 schools with 40 kids. And then we have some larger schools as well. So I have just this incredible diversity of things that I do in my role as I'm a Google coach and a Google trainer. And I use all of those skills. I do lots of PD. I help teachers with pedagogy around literacy and technology and all sorts of things. And in a district like mine, when there's 1 or 2 coaches and so many schools, I end up kind of being that jack of all trades. And so the Google coaching and the Google training certification have really helped me build my toolkit in that way.
All right. Hi, I'm Roxy Thompson. I am from Arizona, and I am a Google certified coach and Google certified trainer. I work for a K-8 public school district, and I am an ed tech specialist on the one hand. It's a team of 3, which has just gone down to 2. And we serve about 32 different schools in the district. But this past year, I've also become the instructional technology coach for our brand new online program. So that has pretty much taken up the majority of what I do during the day, is just trying to keep this online program afloat. And so it's been a huge learning experience for me and the programs, both the trainer and the coach, but definitely more so the coach has just been so incredibly helpful for me this year as I've kind of found my way as a coach. So
congratulations on your new position. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you see the confetti
kind of stumbled
cannon?
into it.
So we should also just say that all of us were part of the EC Open Chat book study cohort 2. And so we have managed to all stay in touch, since becoming a part of that cohort. So we were all kind of working on our certifications at the same time. And the fact that we are a global group really has been very helpful, I think, for all of us, because, you can't do what you do in a silo. Jesse, you mentioned something just a little while ago about that. And I think, that's something that definitely is a benefit to a program like this one.
And we should introduce Frances, because she's like
Absolutely.
really the global piece here,
Yes.
coming to us from the UK. And so that makes us like really global. And then we have to coordinate time zones and such, so much more, which is fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, why don't we just bust out, with our first question, like, why should I spend my time becoming a Google certified coach? Like, why? All the things I have to do, ladies.
Yeah, I mean, I can jump in. I will say the coach certification process was nothing like I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be a little more like the trainer process, which, it involved a lot of things. You had to put together, some resources and show how you trained. But the coach curriculum was so in depth, and I didn't really expect that. And it was a pleasant surprise, but I think a little bit overwhelming when I first looked at it and thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? And then I kind of stumbled into the EC Open chat group, and that was so incredibly helpful, because it was this group of people that were also going through the program. Some people that were trying to be coaches, some people that had already been doing some sort of coaching. And I think, like, for me, it was just learning, like, what does a coach do? What does coaching look like? And I think, sometimes you think, oh, I'm not really a coach because I don't do X, Y, Z. But then meeting this group of people who all do different things and make coaching look different ways at their school or in their district, I think that was super helpful, because it wasn't about trying to like fit into this really narrow definition. It was thinking about, like, how can I take these principles and these, like, these beliefs about what good coaching is, and then apply them to my specific context. So I think that, for me, just like learning to kind of let go of this idea of what I was supposed to look like as a coach, that was really helpful.
Yeah.
And something I got from the program.
And going off what you were saying too, Roxy, about the curriculum itself, if you are someone who has big problems in your practice and you think to yourself, there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be an easier way to do this. That's why I, at first, was interested in the certification program. Now, I know probably many of you too have had the experience where you've entered into like a micro course scenario, and maybe you've experienced some of the activities and read the curriculum, and you're like, no, I don't think this is really going to meet my need. And for me, the Google coaching, the certification curriculum checked all those boxes for me. So if you good watchers and good listeners find yourself in a position where you're like, no, there must be a better way. Someone must know how to do this. First, that someone is probably you, and you can find out how to do that with the certification curriculum. While it is in depth and it is, it at first blush appears long and large, it actually walks you through a whole year, a school year. And it's hard to see all that at once, but it is timed out in such a way that I found, became very manageable, which actually was a surprise to me. Like you said, Roxy, when you look at it, you're like, oh, what have I done? I do this to myself all the time.
Les ofrecemos una disculpa, tenemos unos detallitos con la transmisión. Vamos a recuperar de nuevo ahorita el enlace del video.
but it worked out well, at least for me. And it helped answer some of those critical problems I was seeing in my teaching practice. And then I was also hearing my other teachers were having these problems. And I'm like, oh yeah, we can do this differently. We can do this better together.
I think it gave a lot of like terms, like for me, it gave me a way to talk about like the challenges and then how I thought we could approach it in a way that I had difficulty finding words to explain, or maybe thought about, but I'm like, is that right? I don't know, because I haven't been doing this long. So to have this curriculum with like research that backed it up, using these terms and explaining things in a way that was just so clear and almost obvious. We were like, oh yes, of course, like that makes sense. That was great, because then it helped, I think, convince people that I needed to convince that we should do this. Like, here, we have this thing, we can modify it, we can make it our own, but like, let's not, rebuild things that have already been built. There's this really great, curriculum that we can take and use. And so that was helpful in selling that, I think, for me and my district.
For me, because I had already been a coach, the curriculum, it was like, I can do this. The things you have to submit, the pieces, the artifacts, I had already had those. I tweaked them a bit as the process went along. For me, one of the biggest reasons that I'm so glad that I bothered to become a certified coach was because where I am, I'm, quite on my own. There's not a lot of people near me who do what I do. I'm the only one in my district right now. And so this has been a great community. We the 6 of us here, we met during a book study where actually that one was on Zoom. We met, we kind of got to know each other a little bit. You follow each other on Twitter, you support each other that way. And so that sense of, while I'm, at home in my own work, I'm this isolated piece. I don't actually belong to a school. I'm kind of a nomad. So, having people across the globe, but people that you can connect with has been super helpful, because I kind of feel that I don't have that in my own district. So that global support has been huge for me.
I think too, the idea, so, for people who don't necessarily work in a district where their main platform for everything is Google Workspace for Education, you can become a Google for Education certified coach, but that doesn't mean that everything that you work with other educators on has to be focused on Google for Education tools. And I think that that's something that not necessarily everybody realizes. It's really more about the whole coaching process. And like Roxy and Jesse both said, the idea that they're, it's research based. So, you kind of have a tool to help
it's good
you.
Pedagogy, isn't it, Kim? It's like
It
good
absolutely
coaching
is.
pedagogy for adults. It's yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And getting an understanding of how to work with other educators in a way that doesn't intimidate them, so that you can genuinely help them. And I think that if you follow, the steps, the way that Google has it set up, I think that you can definitely, make people more comfortable, like, oh, okay, she's not acting like she knows it all. She's really here to help me.
Yeah, for me, the reason why I'm going to be honest, I don't have these. I can't think of the word when you're these benevolent reasons for when I first started to become a coach. I was like, okay, everybody else has their Google trainer, and I just got mine. Nobody in my district is a Google certified coach, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go for it. But I was already coaching for a couple of years, and I had some struggles with being able to convince administrators in our district why they needed to, incorporate me in their school plan. And going through the curriculum, I was like, oh, aha, I can tell them this. And oh, look at this. See, this goes along with our district goals. And and it gave me a lot of tools, as you mentioned, on how to be able to insert myself in a way that makes sense and can really support the teachers in a non-intimidating way and a supportive way, not as a, because that was the other thing I struggled with was teachers in our district tend to, if you're not in the classroom, you're an administrator, or, it was kind of like they look at you that way. Oh, she's here to judge me. She's here. And through the Google certified coaching program or the curriculum, I was able to kind of use the scenarios to play out how I would work with these teachers. So it was super helpful. And, you know, as you said, it was definitely very intimidating when you see the whole like list of these are all the things, but really it's not. It's really not at all. And I do highly recommend if anybody is going to go through with this Google certification that you get involved with other teachers like we have. You guys have been such a huge support, and just getting ideas from you, following you on Twitter, and asking questions has been a godsend to be able to go through this and continue in the coaching.
Definitely. So I'm curious to know who has administrative support in their particular location. You know, Melissa, you mentioned starting that. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I would say I have it from like my direct supervisor. It's kind of a strange situation because our new online program right now falls under the ed tech department, because it's just kind of this like random program that we're trying to, you know, build while we're doing it. So it was kind of nice timing in that, you know, she was kind of like, all right, we're going to have this, we're going to keep going with online. We're going to have this program. It's going to be under us for at least this year. We'd really like you to step in and help them out as like in a coaching role. And I was like, oh, this is perfect timing. There is this new coach certification I'm going through. Here's what I'm thinking. Like, here's how I would like that, you know, what I think this could look like. And so she was like, yes, I think they were just happy I didn't say no, absolutely not, I'm not gonna do this. So I think she was just happy that I was coming with something, some idea of what that could look like, and we didn't have to build that from scratch. So she's been extremely supportive. But I will say, I wonder for next year, because I don't know exactly what my role is going to be. The program is going to be its own school. They're going to actually turn it into our 33rd school. So it will be like a stand-up online learning academy. I don't know if I'm going to be involved in that or if I'm going to slide back to what I was before. And I do think sometimes, you know, hi, Gerardo. I do sometimes wonder, you know, am I going to go back to a situation where I'm really trying to get into schools, which I think was the biggest challenge for me before the online opportunity opened up, was just like every day felt like I was just really like, hey, can I come in? Hey, can I work with your teachers? Because not most of the administrators, I think they just don't, it's hard for them to wrap their head around what that looks like. So it was great this year, and I'm going to stay positive and hopeful that we can branch it out next year.
Yeah, sometimes it definitely feels like as a coach, you become sort of a salesperson, you know, trying to peddle your wares as it may be. Anybody else on administrative support or lack thereof? No?
I'm pretty fortunate. Most of the principals, mostly like partly the principals don't always understand what do you do exactly, but the teachers, like I have teachers at every school that, you know, love to have me in. And so I've kind of really started off at the teacher base, which has been good. So I haven't had the issue of getting into schools, but actually when I first started, we had a virtual reality set of virtual reality goggles, and we had a set of breakout boxes that we kind of purchased right off the bat. And so those were like a little bit of a ticket. And so people wanted those things. And so those things came with us. So we took those in, but then it's like, oh, we could do this and we could do this. So that was actually a good door opener. So that ended up being a really good strategy. But I'd say the teachers, the school admin are pretty accepting. It's interesting because my admin at the district level, supportive, but not promotive. You know, it's kind of funny there. There's a funny ceiling.
Anybody else want to speak to that? So I can say, you know, in my district, you know, because you need a letter of recommendation when you put together your packet. And when I started the coach curriculum, I made sure that I let the superintendent of schools know, hey, just so you know, this is something that I'm working on. I will need, administrative support. And I kind of outlined, what the whole coach process was going to look like. And so when I was finished, I let him know that, I asked him, would it be possible for you to write me a letter of recommendation? And he wrote this amazing letter of recommendation, which I was pretty blown away by. He and I have worked together for 10 years. That's how long I've been in my current role. And so to have that support behind the scenes really felt great. But the next piece of that, of promoting my role, that part I haven't had. So I feel like, okay, I got the support I needed to actually earn the credentials. But beyond that, and I don't know, I'm not sure what's behind that. Maybe, the district doesn't want to show favoritism for one employee over others, or I don't know what it is. But that for me is a little bit frustrating, because I feel like I have to do a lot of self-promotion. And sometimes that doesn't feel real good. It's like, you want somebody else to say. I have to say, though, that the assistant principal at the high school has told me a couple times that he has spoken to educators who are having a little bit of a hard time in their classes. And he has said, you might want to try and, mention to Kim that, I bet she would have some great resources for you. Or so, there's a little bit, but yeah.
I will say one thing that I am trying to go back to in the curriculum, and I think that is, on a side note, a great part about the curriculum is there is so much there, but I feel like it is definitely meant for coaches to continue to return to, because I think you take different things out of it depending on the stage, right? Like there were things that I maybe just glossed over when I was brand new a year ago, that now I'm like, oh, I remember it had something about, but it didn't make sense in my head at the time because I didn't have as much experience as a coach. But there is this whole section about, how you as a coach can work to bridge what your goals are and figure out how you can align those with admin goals. And I think for me, that's something I want to think about for next year, is if I am going to be back, to all of the districts and working with our non-online teachers, how can I find out what those individual school goals are that I know our principals really care about? And how can I really tailor the message of what I'd like to do with tech to show here's how I can help you reach these school goals with the technology, and try to be a little better about that, as opposed to just hey, I want to work, with your teachers on ed tech things, and just be a little more purposeful. So that's something I definitely want to get back into in the curriculum and look at those resources.
That's a great point. I love that answer. So what if you had to talk to administrators and try to convince them, look, we could use some more Google for Education certified coaches in our district. How would you sell it? How would you sell it to your admins?
Well, perhaps I should jump in real quick. I am an administrator, but here are some things that I have found as a teacher and administrator pre-COVID and post-COVID. So there has been quite a disconnect, at least from my experience and my perspective, between teachers who relate to their administration, who were administrators before COVID, versus relating to administrators who became administrators after COVID. There is a language barrier. There's a language difference. If you were not a teacher, during that time, it was really hard for administration to, at least from my perspective, to really understand the type of strain and difficulty that teachers were going through at that time. And when I moved into a new state, I found that a lot of their educational technology roles had been folded into or underneath the administrative umbrella. Now, I'm not sure why this particular state, I'm in the state of Florida, I'm not sure why they did that, but I have found that not having the time in the classroom has reduced my credibility as a coach. While that may not be true, in the beginning it was true that I wasn't really getting that experience. So what I did instead is I took on some classes myself to teach myself. And I found that there were some experiences or issues that I had in my practice that I tried to fix with the magic given to us, by our training and the curriculum. And then I found from that perspective, I was able to approach teachers kind of in a different way. Like here's how I was able to solve this challenge. Maybe this will help you. And it was very short and very simple. Like, I spent a lot of time grading this here. Maybe you can automate that for yourself too there. And when you take a look at the certification curriculum, they recommend that 70% of your day should be spent in one-on-one sessions with teachers. But here's what I found. I found that having separate one-on-one sessions with teachers, that was a big ask for the teachers. So it worked a lot better in practice if I was able to support them in their class, if I was able to get assigned to support them in a classroom, or I was able to demonstrate a lateral strategy from a class I was teaching, and it was maybe similar to the topics they were teaching, and they could see, the benefit, because teachers now are very protective of their time, and they should be very protective of their time. And they're watching carefully for credibility, that they don't want to attend trainings that they believe will not help them in their practice. It must be practical. Also, it must be efficient, and it should be a respectful and good use of their time, because they have so little of it. So I think making that argument to administration is almost not an argument at all. You mean you're able to solve these problems effectively and efficiently, and teachers don't think you're wasting their time, and wow, people are successful and you don't have to, push anyone down to do it? Huh. Okay. So that's from my perspective, that's kind of what I found. And being able to bridge the gap between a teacher and an administrator, because I was also underneath the administrative umbrella, I found that I had more face time with the people who needed to be spoken to. And that's another thing too. A lot of administrators don't have a lot of face time with teachers. So there you have it. I know, long explanation. Sorry.
That was good. All right. What else do we want to talk about?
Well, I know one of the questions was about biggest challenges this year. Does anyone have one they want to share, or something that comes to mind about your biggest challenge as a coach?
Well, for us, because of the COVID protocols in California and the way things were run, we were basically because we were back since April of last year, I believe. I don't know, the years all run together for me now, but and we were told, okay, you can work with teachers, but it either has to be via Zoom or after school, or maybe on their prep, if they have one. Well, now, as probably in many of your locations as well, teachers don't even get preps anymore because they're period subbing for absence. So our time with teachers has been very limited. And so, and even with the fact that since they are doing all this subbing on their prep, their only time to meet with me would be after school. They don't want to meet after school. They're exhausted. And so the biggest challenge for me has been time with teachers. And, since, like I mentioned, I work with 2 other coaches. And so we've been trying to find ways to get ourselves in with teachers in a fun way. So we created a weekly newsletter, with Canva, which was lots of fun. And the 3 of us being Google trainers and coach, is that we always want to make sure we're trying to include some sort of Google tool in either, it's basically broke up into these 3 parts, where there's a quick tip, a tech tool, and a point to ponder. And so we will link them out to, and we each have our own little page. It's super cute. I totally love it. And I love it because it helps keep me kind of on top of what's going on. It keeps me in Twitter and Facebook and on my PLN trying to find out how to save teachers time, because that seems to be the biggest thing. So if I can get in and show them how to save time, I might get them to ask me back. But so far, that's really the biggest challenge, is just trying to get them to see why they might need us. And luckily, we also, because of the situation, we have a huge new teacher pool. We've got, I think we have around 900 teachers in our district, and over 100 of them are new to teaching. And that's been the case for the past 3 years, about 100 new teachers every year. Yeah. So it's hard out here. So, well, everywhere. So we got in with the coordinator of new teachers and got in as mentors. At least 2 of us have tried to get in as mentors so that we can support them that way. And then maybe that'll continue. So it's still a doozy to overcome. And if you guys have any tips, I mean, I brought my notepad. I'm ready to write these things down so that I can use your brains to help me do my thing too. So
I think that pairing coaches with new teachers is super helpful. And I know there's been some times in our district over the last couple of years where I'm like, that those new teachers, and we certainly don't have, almost 10% like Melissa does, some years more than others, but it's like those new teachers needed to be paired with a coach, or they needed to be, connected. Oh, hey, you're having some issues with classroom discipline, or you're not sure how to use that reading strategy. Why don't we connect you with the coach and you can do a little work together? But that's that admin part where our admin didn't think, oh, oops.
No, Cami, you're right. It's a good idea not to wait until there are problems. Like you were saying, Melissa, it's a great idea to just have this be a normal and natural part of your induction into our district. We want to prepare you for success, and we believe that you will be successful. And, here are the strategies that you can use to be successful. So like what you were saying, Cami, then when there are problems and they have to talk to a coach, it's more like they come and find you. And that's really the position, right, that you want to be in.
Well, I could share. I went into this year knowing that I was going to coach a group of, I think we have 7, 5/8 online teachers. They had all applied for the role. They wanted, they're Google certified. They're really excited about this new program. I was excited about all the, things from the curriculum I was going to take and do these formal coaching cycles. And then about a week or 2 before school started, there was such an overwhelming call for K4 online that they decided to just put together a K4 online program. Like, it felt like overnight. And so we had 10 K4 teachers that were told they're going to voluntold kind of that they're going to teach online. Some of who had just spent 2 weeks decorating these amazing kindergarten classrooms, and we're now told, hey, you're teaching 3rd grade online. It was rough. It was really rough. I remember the first time I went to meet them, there were tears. One girl had said she was going to leave before the end of the day. So, I mean, a lot of the first month of my job was just trying to duct tape these things together and keep people from leaving. And so the role that I played was a lot of therapy sessions, just giving people a place to cry, which for me, I think we've talked about this actually in our book study before. As a proud introvert, sometimes it's hard for me, the part of the role of coach sometimes that involves I don't know, talking about non-work things, or trying to do things that are not related specifically to tech. I'm not like naturally a huggy, feely kind of person, but that is what they needed. And so I tried my best, to do what I could. And I tried to help them, with tech in any way I could. And, a lot of it wasn't things that would necessarily fall under like a Google certified coach, sometimes it was just like, where does this thing plug in? Or why is my internet so slow? Things that I didn't have immediate answers to. And so, we're going, it stayed afloat. But it was not something that I felt like came naturally to me those first few months with emotions running so high. So that was a challenge. We have amazing teachers. I cannot believe how many of them actually stuck this out and stayed with it. But it was a huge learning experience for me. So one that I hope that I can take now and, use in future coaching roles, but I hope it's not quite as emotional going forward.
So for me, my challenge isn't, it's going to sound ridiculous because it's not really a challenge per se, but I see it as a challenge. And that is that, I've been a certified library media specialist in this building that I work in for 10 years now. And it seems that, I work with the same people every year. And I'm grateful that I work with those same people every year. I love the people that come to me, but trying to expand that. And I kind of thought, okay, so, getting my credentials as a trainer and as a coach, that's going to help me. And I'll be able to, show people, how excited I am about learning, how much I want to work with them and help them. And pretty much, again, this year, it's the same teachers. I mean, I'm managing to, get in my hours that I need to keep coach certification, but I don't know how to expand beyond those people. And I've tried lots of things, this year. So we just, it's the half year time. So it's second semester now. And so I put a little bag of smart food along with a little sticky note that said, it would be really smart to collaborate with your friendly school library media specialist for the second half of this year. And I had a little QR code. And then I realized, who's really going to scan the QR code? So I sent out the little brochure that I had made, which, thank you, Roxy, because I had asked her permission to use a template that she had designed, and she said yes. And so, I kind of based my thing on that. But, and I've had people say to me, oh, that was so cute. Thanks for the popcorn. That's it. So, like I said, it's not necessarily really a problem because I am getting in my hours, but I wish I could expand out more.
Well, why don't we brainstorm how to do that? I think one of the best value out of not only the growth of our practice, of course, as coaches and solvers of problems and appliers of duct tape. I think it's also having a community of other Google certified coaches or those who are becoming Google certified coaches and educators where we can brainstorm and kind of spitball ideas about certain problems. So that's a really great one. I mean, Kim, you hit on it. And I know, Melissa, you talked about, Roxy, you talked about it too. Like, so how do we legitimize our position? And when we do that, how do then we grow beyond just those few people knowing about us? And that's a food is a bribe. Great start. Number one. It's a great start. But what do you guys think?
I am really enjoying listening, as always I do, and I am really appreciate your effort, your commitment to do this. We will be listening on Marathon next Monday, and I think that all answers you have done today really empower and encourage teachers to find their way making coach certification. You are, all of you, a great source of inspiration, really. And when I listen about your challenge, there's a really great challenge for teachers in Latin America. We don't have the culture, and just in some schools where the American model is used, maybe they could find a little space to coach. Then we have coaches in Latin America. We have coaches now in Guatemala, in Argentina. But I think that we will be more, because coaching model and coaching work is great to do. But if we don't have, excuse me, the position, and we don't have the task assigned as it, um, just a few people try to do it. So it's really inspiring. Listen to you, and it's it's great and awesome. Can achieve from you your experience, and the most important to me is listen in this panel different roles applying coaching model. I love when Kim talk about that because she says, I'm not a teacher. And she's proud about her job, and she's proud to use the coaching model in his sound job. So you are great for me. I admire all of you. And I couldn't have to stop your talk to say this for you. And as all our love from Mexican GGs that will be listening to you, and of course, many of your fans in global too. And it's been a great experience. So don't stop it. Go away. You can continue with that, but I have to tell you this. I am really grateful with your participation.
I think this has
One,
been.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No,
Go
go ahead.
Kim.
No.
As I said, one thing I think that was helpful about this year for me was that, and Jesse kind of touched on this, about the idea of gaining credibility. And I think, you know, I was really worried about this role. My biggest worry was that the teachers wouldn't see me as someone they could go to because I had never been an online teacher. And I was feeling really nervous about that going in. But I think it's been, in a lot of ways, it's been a huge benefit. I think part of the thing I loved about the coaching curriculum, Google's coaching curriculum, is the focus on it being a partnership. And I think there's a lot of times when we say coaching is a partnership, but then there's a distinct feeling that one person is doing all of the learning and the other person is the expert. And I think it's difficult. It was difficult for me before this because that's how people saw it. And then sometimes, even if you don't want to, you sort of naturally become that person without meaning to. And so I think in this role that I had with online, you know, I just couldn't, like, there's no way that I could stand there and pretend to be some sort of expert in online learning. And so I really relied on these teachers to bring what they had as an experience as an online teacher last year, you know, their experience in their content area years before that. And then I was just bringing that tech, you know, those tech skills, and we were putting those together. And so my hope is that, you know, if next year we're trying to move coaching a little, you know, beyond the online program into the rest of our district, is that I really hold on to that and I don't slide back into letting people put me in the, like, just give me the answer role, but continue to, you know, ask those questions that were absolutely necessary in the online program because I didn't know, but still keep doing that, like, not to jump in with answers, to continue to ask, you know, push teachers to really think about, you know, what is the best solution for you, for your students, your teaching style, you know, all of that's really important. And so I'm hoping to bring that with me next year, and hopeful that maybe that will help teachers maybe want to be coached if they feel like it's someone that's truly coming in, looking at them as their partner and not as someone that they're, you know, not someone that's trying to fix them or show them the right way to do things. So that's my hope for next year, my goal.
I think that's a great goal to have. One thing that we never touched upon that maybe we should just finish up with is the idea of the whole fail fest, you know, where I think one thing that definitely helps when you're working with other educators is to the idea that we all have days when things just don't go the way that they're supposed to go or the way we think that they should go, and being able to kind of roll with that and show teachers that, like, yeah, we're not above you, we're collaborating with you. And some days you have to just laugh it off and go, that didn't really work, did it? And I think that maybe helps other educators be like, oh, okay, she's not evaluating me, we're trying together.
I love that bit when I'm working with teachers and they go, well, what happens if I do that? And I go, I don't know, let's see, push a button. But will I ruin it? Maybe. If not, there's the actual site test. They can fix it.
Well, and I think that models that risk taking, right? And so I think some of our teachers are just afraid to try. And so when we say, well, this might not work, in fact, I have no idea, but we've run out of other ideas. Let's try this and see what happens. And so to model that, okay, here we go, I think is so powerful, because that's what we want our teachers to do, is to take risks and to try new things. And some of them are so petrified to do that. And so if we can be okay, let me show you how to fail here. That can be a really powerful role that we can take on.
I just want to say, Gerardo, thank you so much for giving us love. And you always come in with words that just buoy us up. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I have, as you all have been talking, and Gerardo's support, it made me think back to, how do we legitimize our activities? How do we create, a future for ourselves for the next year? How do we encourage new coaches to think that, hey, there is a future in this? And part of me wonders if it would be helpful to connect all of our practices to your school's strategic plan. So in the US, all schools have some sort of plan to address the needs, particularly for learners who are considered underneath the special education umbrella. Gerardo, I know it might be different, and Francis, it might be different for you too, where you live, but our schools specifically target learners who struggle. And part of me wonders if there is a way, and maybe we call it the Cami, Roxy, Francis, Kim, Melissa, Gerardo, and Jesse curriculum, that we show how our activities directly impact the school's strategic plan, and take a little bit of information and data about how our activities are vital or instrumental in some of the practices that assist with, learning support, or finding additional time for teachers, or what were some of the other challenges you guys are talking about too? Not just support and time.
I think it would be a really great initiative, and I'm going to take it to make sense in our schools in some of the countries that we're working, because we are an interesting net from teachers around the GGs in Mexico. Now, this event is organized by 10 GGs. We are supporting the event, and it's a great opportunity to us have the advice and connecting with you for making this work better, and having some of your practice working in our schools too. So more grateful than about you're ready to connect and to help some of us to get a better education to our students.
Yeah, I think what's helpful too is showing when it's worked. What are the things that you think contributed to it working? So like I will say, like my supervisor is feeling real good about coaching and the Google Coach curriculum, because it has worked in this online program. And so, her thought is, when we replace our team member that left earlier this year, we want someone that's going to be in that same sort of mindset of coaching. Now, on my end, in my head, I'm thinking it worked here because there was a clear support, on her part as the admin, but also like I get to be in classrooms every single day. Like I drop into those virtual classrooms all day long, every day. So when I reach out to teachers about certain tech tools, I can point to specific things like, oh, hey, I noticed, little Jimmy was having trouble doing XYZ. Here's something. Do you think it would be worth learning about? Do you think that would be helpful? And so that wasn't being in classrooms every single day was not an opportunity I had before this. So for me, how I want to really sell it is like, okay, here are the reasons I think it works so well in our online program. How could we replicate that? How could we make that still continue to happen in our regular brick and mortar classrooms if you want to see this be successful also? So I think that's important, is highlighting how, when it is successful, what we think contributed to that success.
I think you're, based on what you were talking about, Roxy, that's the language everyone understands. Everyone understands the language of success. Everyone does. And oftentimes I think, dear watchers and dear listeners, we do have to tell our own story too. So keep that in. I would say a piece of advice I would give myself, ages ago when I started, a piece of advice I'd give to myself, my new self, is keep track of what you're doing and remember what really worked well and talk about that. Because I think that would have helped, me along the way.
Sounds great. Thanks, all of you. And thanks for you who can make it this possible. Do you have a last message for our audience, for our listeners and watchers?
I want to do a personal shout out to Francis, who was our moderator for our book study for EC Open Chat Cohort 2, because I really think that her personality, her kindness, she really helped pull us all together. We always pulled a lot on her, where we were like frantically adding our comments to the slides minutes before our group got together to discuss things, and she just always rolled with it. So shout out to her. And Gerardo, thank you so much for inviting us all to participate in this. It's been awesome to see everybody again and have our time to chat.
Yeah, we will see you soon on our book study. I hope so. I really appreciate people who came with us and stay all session. It was very interesting, the points that our coaches have taken, and I invite you to see again the transmission with subtitles in Spanish. It will be tomorrow or maybe next Wednesday. Thanks, Mel. It's great. Gracias, José. Y bueno, esperamos que regresen a ver la transmisión ya en español, y le pedimos a Javier si quieres acompañarme a cerrar la transmisión, y ya les está colocando ahí en los comentarios el bitline de la retroalimentación de la sesión. Les agradecemos sus comentarios, y por supuesto, si estuvieron pendientes de las palabras clave, pues las van a poder anotar ahí, y se van a agregar al listado, después de llenar su registro, de las personas entre las que vamos a rifar 5 vouchers para presentar examen de certificación. Ustedes podrán elegir nivel 1, nivel 2 o inclusive trainer para el examen de trainer para poder presentarlos. Así que no dejen de llenar su registro para que puedan ustedes entrar a esa rifa. Y los números ganadores serán publicados en un video en la página web, de nuestro maratón. Les agradecemos mucho su compañía y su presencia. Y happy to see you. We see you tomorrow in our English and Portuguese presentations. And of course, you can see either our presentations in GDCDMX, then our channel rocks today because there were a great audience too. So you can choose leave or choose see, watch later, but all our sessions are really interesting. So goodbye. See you tomorrow. Goodbye, Javier.
Thank
Nice
you
to meet you.
for watching us.